The old house smelled like memories and dust. 28-year-old Maya stood in the middle of the living room, looking around at all the things her grandmother had left behind. 3 months had passed since the funeral, and she still couldn't believe Grandma Rose was really gone. The house was quiet now. Too quiet. Maya remembered how it used to be filled with music. Every time she visited as a child, her grandmother would be sitting at that big piano, her fingers dancing across the keys like magic. The sound would fill every corner of the house, making everything feel alive and warm. But now the piano just sat there in the corner, silent and forgotten. A thick layer of dust covered its dark wooden surface. Some of the white keys had turned yellow with age. It looked sad, like it was waiting for someone to wake it up again. Maya walked closer to the piano. She had never learned to play. Her parents had tried to get her into music lessons when she was young, but she never had the patience for it. She always thought she just wasn't musical, not like her grandmother, who could make the piano sing. She reached out slowly and touched the smooth wood. It felt cool under her fingers. Then, without really thinking about it, she pressed one key right in the middle of the piano. Just one single note. The sound rang out clear and pure in the empty room. It seemed to hang in the air for a long moment, echoing off the walls. Maya felt something strange in her chest, like that one note had touched something deep inside her. She didn't know it then, but that single note had just changed everything. There was something else that happened when Maya pressed that key, something she didn't notice. Underneath the keyboard, hidden in the shadows, a small wooden panel shifted just a tiny bit. It made no sound, just a small click that was too quiet to hear over the fading note. Maya stood there for a while longer, her hand resting on the piano. She thought about all the hours her grandmother must have spent sitting on this exact bench. How many songs had these keys played? How many people had listened and felt something beautiful? The lawyer had told her that everything in the house was hers now. The furniture, the books, the paintings on the walls, and this piano. Maya didn't know what to do with any of it. She lived in a small apartment across town. She couldn't fit a giant piano in there, but she couldn't sell it either. It felt wrong somehow. She decided she would move into the house, at least for a while. Her apartment lease was ending next month anyway, and maybe being here, surrounded by her grandmother's things, would help her feel close to her again. Over the next 2 weeks, Maya slowly moved her life into the old house. She brought her clothes, her books, her laptop. She cleaned the rooms one by one, dusting and organizing. But she avoided the piano. Every time she walked past it, she felt that strange pull again, like it was calling to her. But she ignored it. She kept thinking about that one note she had played. Sometimes at night, lying in her grandmother's old bedroom upstairs, she would hear it in her mind, that pure, clear sound. It made her curious. What would all the other keys sound like? What kind of music was hiding inside that instrument? But she was scared too. Scared that if she tried to play, she would just make noise. Terrible, ugly noise that would ruin the memory of all the beautiful music her grandmother used to create. Finally, Maya decided to call someone who could help. She found a number in her grandmother's old address book. Mr. Chen, piano tuner. There was a note next to his name in her grandmother's handwriting. The only one who truly understands her. When Mr. Chen arrived, Maya was surprised by how old he was. He must have been in his 70s at least, with white hair and gentle eyes behind round glasses. He moved slowly but with purpose, carrying an old leather bag full of tools. "I heard about Rose," he said softly when Maya opened the door. "I'm so sorry." She was a remarkable woman. Maya led him to the piano. Mr. Chen set down his bag and just stood there for a moment, looking at the instrument like he was seeing an old friend. Then he reached out and touched it gently, almost like he was greeting it. "How long since she played?" he asked. "I don't know," Maya admitted. "Maybe a year." She got too sick near the end. Mr. Chen nodded sadly. Then he sat down on the bench and opened the lid that covered the keys. He began his work, testing each key one by one, listening carefully to every sound. His fingers moved with the confidence of someone who had done this 1,000 times before. Maya watched, fascinated. She had never seen someone tune a piano before. It seemed like such a delicate, careful process. Mr. Chen would play a note, then make a tiny adjustment with one of his tools, then play it again. Over and over until each note was perfect. Then something happened that made both of them freeze. Mr. Chen pressed the middle C key, the same key Maya had pressed 2 weeks ago. The note rang out clear and true. And underneath the keyboard, that wooden panel clicked again. But this time it didn't just shift. It opened. Mr. Chen's hand stopped moving. His eyes went wide. Slowly, carefully, he bent down to look under the keyboard. Maya leaned in too, her heart suddenly beating faster. There was a hidden compartment there. A secret space that had been hidden all this time. And inside it were papers. Lots and lots of old yellowed papers. Mr. Chen pulled them out carefully, his hands trembling slightly. He spread them out on top of the piano. They were all covered in musical notes, lines, and symbols that Maya didn't understand. Sheet music, Mr. Chen whispered. His voice sounded strange, like he couldn't quite believe what he was seeing. Original sheet music. These are compositions. What do you mean? Maya asked. Your grandmother wrote these, he said, looking up at her with wide eyes. Rose composed all of this music herself. Maya felt her breath catch in her throat. That's impossible. She never composed music. She just played other people's songs. But Mr. Chen was shaking his head, his eyes scanning the papers quickly. No, these are originals. Look at the signature here. And here. This is her handwriting. I'd recognize it anywhere. Maya felt dizzy. How could she not have known this? Why had her grandmother kept this secret? Mr. Chen kept pulling out more papers from the hidden compartment. There were dozens of them. Maybe more. Each one covered in musical notes, in songs that had never been played, in melodies that had been hidden away for who knows how long. At the very bottom of the compartment was a small leather journal. Mr. Chen handed it to Maya carefully, like it was made of glass. Her hands were shaking as she opened it. The first page had just one line written in her grandmother's elegant handwriting. For the one who finds this, play what your heart knows, not what your hands remember. Maya read the words 3 times, trying to understand what they meant. Play what your heart knows? But she didn't know how to play anything at all. She looked at Mr. Chen. He was staring at the sheet music with an expression she couldn't quite read. Wonder mixed with confusion, mixed with something else, something that looked almost like fear. What is all this? Maya asked quietly. Mr. Chen was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I don't know. But I think your grandmother wanted you to find it. That key middle C, it must be the trigger, the mechanism to open this compartment. She designed it that way on purpose. Maya looked down at the journal in her hands, then at all the sheet music spread across the piano. Her grandmother had left her more than just a house and a piano. She had left her a mystery, a secret that had been hidden for years, waiting for the right person to discover it. And somehow Maya knew that this was just the beginning. The sheet music laid spread across the dining table like pieces of a puzzle Maya didn't know how to solve. She'd been staring at them for hours, trying to make sense of the lines and symbols. It was like looking at a foreign language she had never studied. Mr. Chen had left that afternoon, promising to come back in a few days. Before he went, he had looked at her seriously and said, These compositions are special. I can feel it. Your grandmother was trying to tell you something. But what? Maya had no idea. She picked up one of the papers carefully. The music notes seemed to dance across the page, but they meant nothing to her. She couldn't read them. She couldn't play them. She felt frustrated and a little angry. Why would her grandmother leave her something she couldn't even use? That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the journal entry. Play what your heart knows, not what your hands remember. The words went round and round in her head, but they didn't make any more sense no matter how many times she repeated them. Around midnight, she finally gave up on sleeping. She walked downstairs in her pajamas, the old wooden steps creaking under her feet. The house was dark except for the moonlight coming through the windows. It made everything look silver and strange. She found herself standing in front of the piano again. It seemed to glow in the moonlight like it was waiting for her. Without thinking about it too much, she sat down on the bench. It felt right somehow, like she belonged there. Maya pressed the middle C key again. That same pure note rang out. Then, feeling brave, she pressed another key. And another. Random notes with no pattern, no melody. Just sounds, but something strange happened. As she played, the house seemed to come alive around her. The sounds echoed differently than they had during the day. It felt like the walls themselves were listening. And then, just for a moment, Maya could have sworn she heard other notes. Notes she wasn't playing. Like the piano was answering her, teaching her, showing her what to do. She stopped playing, her heart pounding. The house went silent again. Had she imagined it? Maybe she was just tired, but deep down she knew something had happened, something real. The next morning, Maya made a decision. If her grandmother had left her this music, then she was going to learn to play it. No matter how long it took, no matter how hard it was, she found a piano teacher through an online search. The woman's name was Patricia Walsh, and her website said she had been teaching for over 30 years. Maya called her that same day and set up an appointment for the next week. When Patricia arrived for the first lesson, Maya immediately felt intimidated. The teacher was probably in her early 60s, with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun and sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. She looked at the piano, then at Maya, then back at the piano. "You've never played before?" Patricia asked. "Never," Maya admitted. "And you want to learn why?" Maya hesitated. How could she explain about the hidden compartment, the secret music, the feeling that her grandmother was trying to tell her something? It all sounded crazy when she thought about saying it out loud. "I inherited this piano from my grandmother," she finally said. "I want to learn to play it." Patricia nodded slowly. "All right, but I have to warn you, learning piano as an adult is difficult. It takes patience and practice. Most people give up." "I won't give up," Maya said, and she meant it. The first lesson was harder than Maya had imagined. Patricia started with the very basics. How to sit properly, how to position her hands, how to read the simplest musical notes. Maya tried to focus, but her fingers felt clumsy and stupid. The sounds she made were nothing like music. They were just noise. Patricia's face remained neutral, but Maya could tell she wasn't impressed. "Practice these scales every day," the teacher said at the end of the lesson. "At least 30 minutes. We'll see how you do next week." After Patricia left, Maya felt like crying. She looked at the beautiful compositions her grandmother had written, then at the simple beginner exercises Patricia had given her. How was she ever going to get from here to there? It seemed impossible, but she practiced anyway. Every day, just like Patricia had told her. Her fingers stumbled over the keys. She played the wrong notes. She lost her place. She wanted to quit 100 times, but every night at midnight, she would sit at the piano and play random notes, and she would hear those other notes again. That mysterious echo that seemed to come from the piano itself. Weeks passed, then months. Patricia came every Tuesday and Thursday. She was patient, but Maya could tell she was disappointed. "You're not progressing as quickly as I'd hoped," the teacher said one day. "Maybe you just don't have a natural ear for music." Those words hurt more than Maya wanted to admit. But she kept practicing. She had to. She felt like she owed it to her grandmother, to herself, to the music waiting silently in those hidden compositions. 3 months after finding the secret compartment, something changed. Maya had a dream that night. She was sitting at the piano, but she wasn't alone. Her grandmother was there beside her, looking just like she remembered. Young and healthy and happy, Grandma Rose didn't say anything. She just smiled and put her hands over Maya's hands. Then they played together. In the dream, Maya's fingers knew exactly where to go. They moved across the keys with confidence and grace. The music that came out was beautiful. It was one of her grandmother's compositions, though Maya didn't know how she knew that. She could feel every note, understand every melody. It was like the music was flowing through her from somewhere else. When Maya woke up, her fingers were tingling. They felt different. Warm and alive and full of energy. She got out of bed even though it was still early and went straight to the piano. She sat down and put her hands on the keys. And then, without looking at any sheet music, without even thinking about it, she started to play. The melody flowed out of her like water. Her fingers knew where to go. They moved smoothly from key to key, creating harmonies she had never been able to play before. It was one of the simpler pieces from her grandmother's collection, but Maya played it perfectly. Every note was right. Every rhythm was correct. She played the whole thing from beginning to end without stopping, without making a single mistake. When the last note faded away, she just sat there in shock, staring at her hands like they belonged to someone else. What had just happened? How was this possible? Yesterday she could barely play a simple scale. Today she had just performed a complete composition perfectly. Maya tried to play it again, and she could. Her fingers remembered, not just that one piece, but others too. She pulled out more of her grandmother's sheet music and tried playing them. Some were too difficult still, but others came easily. It was like something had unlocked inside her brain overnight. She looked at the piano with new eyes. This wasn't just an instrument. It was something more, something special, something that had been waiting all this time to connect with her, to teach her, to pass on her grandmother's gift. When Patricia came for the next lesson, the teacher's mouth actually fell open. Maya played through all the exercises she had been struggling with for months, then kept going. She played pieces that Patricia hadn't even taught her yet. "This is impossible," Patricia whispered. "You couldn't even play a proper scale last week. How did you—" But Maya didn't know how to explain it. She didn't fully understand it herself. All she knew was that something had changed. The piano had given her a gift, or maybe her grandmother had, or maybe it was something else entirely. All Maya knew for certain was that this was just the beginning. There was still so much more to discover, so many more secrets hidden in those compositions, so many more mysteries waiting to be unlocked, and she was finally ready to find them all. Maya's younger sister, Lily, was always the one with the camera. She documented everything. Every family dinner, every holiday, every random Tuesday afternoon. So when she came to visit 2 weeks after Maya's breakthrough, her phone was already in her hand. "I still can't believe you actually moved into this place," Lily said, looking around the old house. She was 23, 5 years younger than Maya, and she had always been the more practical one. "It's so far from everything." "I like it here," Maya said. And she did. The house felt like home now in a way her apartment never had. "Want to hear something?" "Hear what?" "Just sit down," Maya said, gesturing to the couch. Lily flopped down, still holding her phone. She was probably scrolling through social media, not really paying attention. But that was about to change. Maya sat at the piano and took a deep breath. She had been practicing one of her grandmother's more complex compositions for the past few days. It was a beautiful piece, full of emotion and surprising turns. She still didn't fully understand how she could play it, but she had stopped questioning it. She just let her fingers do what they wanted to do. She started playing. The music filled the room, flowing and dancing and telling a story without words. Maya lost herself in it, forgetting about Lily, forgetting about everything except the connection between her heart and the keys. When she finished, the house was silent for a moment. Then she heard sniffling. She turned around and saw Lily wiping her eyes. "That was beautiful," Lily said, her voice thick with emotion. "I didn't know you could play like that." "Neither did I," Maya admitted. "Wait, what do you mean? How long have you been taking lessons?" "About 3 months," Lily stared at her. "That's impossible. Nobody learns to play like that in 3 months." Maya shrugged. She didn't want to try to explain something she didn't understand herself. But Lily was looking at her with that expression she got when she knew there was a story there. A good story. "Play it again," Lily said. "I want to record it." "Why?" "Because it's amazing. People should hear this." Maya felt uncomfortable. "I don't know, Lily. This is Grandma Rose's music. It feels private somehow." "But you played it," Lily argued. "And it's too beautiful to keep hidden. Please? Just this once?" Maya hesitated, then nodded. She did want to share her grandmother's music. Maybe that was the whole point. Maybe that's what the secret compartment and the journal entry had been trying to tell her. She played the piece again, even better this time. And Lily recorded every second of it. That night, after Lily had gone home, Maya got a text from her sister. "Posted the video. Hope you don't mind. It was too good not to share." Maya felt a flutter of panic. She opened social media and found her sister's post. The video was there, showing Maya at the piano, her fingers moving across the keys. Lily had written a caption. "My sister found our grandmother's secret music and taught herself to play in 3 months. No joke. This is real. Listen to the end." Maya's first instinct was to ask Lily to take it down, but then she read the first few comments. "This is incredible. I got chills listening to this. Who composed this? It's beautiful. How is this possible? In 3 months?" By the next morning, the video had been shared hundreds of times. By afternoon, thousands. Maya's phone wouldn't stop buzzing with notifications. People were commenting, sharing, asking questions. Some didn't believe it was real. Others wanted to know where they could buy the music. Some were angry, saying it was fake, that Maya must have been playing for years. Then the messages started coming from different kinds of people. A music professor from the state university wanted to see the original compositions. A journalist from the local newspaper wanted to interview her. Someone claiming to be a documentary filmmaker wanted to tell her story. Maya felt overwhelmed. This wasn't what she wanted. She just wanted to play her grandmother's music in peace. But now everyone wanted a piece of it. The most interesting message came from a man named Dr. James Patterson. He identified himself as a musicologist, someone who studied the history and theory of music. His message was different from the others. More serious, more concerned. "I need to see those compositions," he wrote. "There's something unusual about the harmonies in that piece, something that shouldn't be possible. Please contact me as soon as you can." Maya stared at the message. Something that shouldn't be possible? What did that mean? She decided to invite him to the house. She needed answers, and maybe he could provide them. Dr. Patterson arrived 3 days later. He was younger than Maya, expected maybe in his early 40s, with messy hair and glasses that kept sliding down his nose. He carried a leather bag full of papers and books and looked like he hadn't slept in days. "Thank you for seeing me," he said, shaking her hand quickly. "I've been studying that video over and over. I had to see the original sheet music." Maya led him to the dining room, where she had the compositions spread out. She had organized them by difficulty, with the simpler pieces on one side and the more complex ones on the other. Dr. Patterson's eyes went wide when he saw them all. He moved closer, his hands hovering over the papers like he was afraid to touch them. Then carefully he picked up one of the more complex compositions and studied it closely. "This is remarkable," he whispered. "Absolutely remarkable." "What is?" Maya asked. He looked up at her, his expression intense. "These compositions use harmonic, techniques that weren't formalized until the 1990s. But according to the dates on these papers, your grandmother wrote them in the 1960s and 70s. So she was ahead of her time," Maya said. "She was talented." "No, you don't understand." Dr. Patterson set the paper down carefully. "These aren't just advanced techniques. They incorporate mathematical principles that weren't applied to music theory until decades after she supposedly wrote this. She couldn't have known about them. Nobody knew about them yet." Maya felt a chill run down her spine. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that either your grandmother was a mathematical genius who independently discovered principles that took other people decades to figure out, or," he paused, looking uncertain. "Or what? Or there's something else going on here. Something I don't understand yet." Dr. Patterson spent the next several hours examining every composition. He made notes, took photos with Maya's permission, and muttered to himself constantly. Maya brought him tea and sandwiches, but he barely noticed. He was completely absorbed in the music. Finally, as the sun was setting, he sat back and looked at Maya seriously. "I need to bring in some colleagues," he said. "Other musicologists, maybe some mathematicians. With your permission, of course. These compositions could change how we understand music theory. They could be historically significant." Maya felt torn. Part of her wanted to keep everything private, to protect her grandmother's secrets. But another part of her was curious. She wanted to understand what made this music special, why it had been hidden, what her grandmother had been trying to do. "Okay," she said finally, "but I have conditions. No media circus. No turning this into entertainment. We do this seriously and respectfully." Dr. Patterson nodded eagerly. "Of course, absolutely. This is scholarly research. We'll treat it with the respect it deserves." After he left, Maya sat at the piano and played through one of the compositions again. She thought about what Dr. Patterson had said. Mathematical principles. Harmonic techniques that shouldn't have existed yet. Play what your heart knows, not what your hands remember. Those words from the journal echoed in her mind again. She was starting to understand that they meant something deeper than she had first thought. This wasn't just about playing music. It was about understanding something fundamental about how music worked, how it affected people, how it could change them. Her grandmother hadn't just been a pianist. She had been a researcher, an explorer, someone who had discovered secrets about music that the rest of the world hadn't known, and now those secrets belonged to Maya. The question was, what was she going to do with them? The house had never been so full of people. Dr. Patterson had arrived with 3 other researchers, all of them carrying equipment and notebooks and an energy that made Maya feel exhausted just watching them. They had transformed her dining room into a makeshift research lab, with papers and laptops covering every surface. "This is Dr. Helen Kim," Dr. Patterson said, introducing a woman in her 50s with kind eyes and graying hair. "She specializes in acoustic physics, and this is Thomas Wright, our music theory expert. And finally, this is Dr. Amara Singh, who works in neuroscience and cognitive psychology." Maya shook hands with each of them, wondering what she had gotten herself into. Neuroscience? Why would they need a neuroscientist to study her grandmother's music? Dr. Singh must have seen the confusion on her face because she smiled and said, "Dr. Patterson told me about how quickly you learned to play. I'm interested in understanding the cognitive mechanisms that might have been involved. I don't really understand how it happened myself," Maya admitted. "That's what we're here to figure out," Dr. Singh said gently. For the next week, the researchers practically lived at Maya's house. They studied every composition, analyzing the mathematical patterns in the harmonies. Dr. Kim set up special equipment to measure the acoustic properties of the piano itself, discovering that it had been modified in ways that enhanced certain frequencies. "This isn't a standard piano," Dr. Kim explained to Maya one afternoon. "Someone added extra resonant chambers inside. They're designed to amplify specific harmonic frequencies. I've never seen anything like it." "Mr. Chen might know about that," Maya said. "He's been tuning this piano for decades." They brought Mr. Chen in the next day. The old piano tuner looked at all the equipment and researchers with wide eyes, clearly overwhelmed. But when Dr. Kim showed him what she had found inside the piano, his expression changed. "Rose told me about this," he said quietly, "years ago. She said she was working on something special, something that would help people understand music in a new way. I helped her find a craftsman who could make the modifications she wanted." "Did she tell you why?" Dr. Patterson asked eagerly. Mr. Chen shook his head. "Only that music had power. Real power. She believed it could change how people's brains work. She spent years studying it, reading everything she could about sound waves and frequency and human consciousness." Maya felt her heart beating faster. Her grandmother had been trying to change how people's brains worked with music? It sounded impossible. It sounded crazy. But hadn't that's exactly what had happened to her? Dr. Singh asked Maya to play while she monitored brain activity using a portable EEG machine. Maya felt silly with all the sensors attached to her head, but she played anyway. When she finished, Dr. Singh was staring at her laptop screen with an expression of disbelief. "What is it?" Maya asked. "Your brain activity while playing shows patterns I've only seen in people who've been training for years," Dr. Singh said slowly. "Your neural pathways are forming connections at an accelerated rate. It's like your brain is rewiring itself in real time. Is that dangerous?" Maya felt a flutter of fear. "I don't think so, but it is extraordinary. The music seems to be triggering something, activating pathways that help you learn and process musical information faster than should be possible." That evening, after the researchers had finally gone to their hotel, Maya sat alone at the piano. She looked at her grandmother's journal again, reading past the first page for the first time. Most of it was technical notes about frequencies and harmonics, things Maya didn't fully understand. But near the middle, she found an entry that made her stop. "The music we hear is only half of what music can be," her grandmother had written. "There are frequencies our conscious mind doesn't register, but our brain still processes them. I believe these hidden frequencies can carry information. They can teach. They can transform. If I'm right, music can be more than entertainment or emotional expression. It can be a tool for human development." Maya read the passage 3 times. Her grandmother had been trying to hide lessons inside the music, frequencies that would teach people how to play without traditional learning. That's why Maya had been able to learn so fast. The piano's special design amplified these frequencies, and the compositions themselves contained the hidden instructions. It was brilliant, and terrifying, and beautiful. The next day, Maya shared the journal entry with the researchers. They became even more excited, talking rapidly about theories and possibilities. Dr. Patterson wanted to test whether other people could learn the same way Maya had. Dr. Singh wanted to understand the neurological mechanisms better. They all wanted to publish papers, present at conferences, share this discovery with the world. But Thomas Wright, the quiet music theory expert who had said very little up until now, raised a hand. "Has anyone considered why Rose kept this secret?" he asked. The room went quiet. "She clearly had the ability to share this with the world," Thomas continued. "She could have published papers. She could have taught students using this method. But she didn't. She hid everything in a secret compartment and left only a cryptic message. Why? No one had an answer. "I think," Thomas said carefully, "we need to be very cautious about how we proceed. If this music can really rewire people's brains, teach them skills quickly, what else might it do? What are the long-term effects? Are there risks we don't understand yet?" Maya felt grateful to him for saying what she had been thinking but hadn't known how to express. This was her grandmother's life work, and Rose had chosen to hide it. There had to be a reason. "I want to understand more before we share anything publicly," Maya said firmly. "My grandmother left this for me to find, but she also kept it secret for decades. I think we need to respect that." Dr. Patterson looked disappointed but nodded. "You're right. We should move carefully. This is too important to rush." They spent another week running tests and experiments, but more carefully now, more respectfully. Maya played for them, let them study her brain activity, answered their questions. But she also set boundaries. Some of the compositions she kept private. Some of the journal entries she didn't share. One night, Patricia Walsh came by for a lesson. Maya hadn't told her about the researchers or the viral video or any of it. She just wanted one normal thing in her life to stay normal. But Patricia wasn't stupid. She had seen the video online like everyone else. When she arrived, she looked at Maya seriously. "I owe you an apology," Patricia said. "I told you that you didn't have natural talent. I was wrong." "You weren't wrong," Maya said. "I didn't have natural talent. Something else happened." She told Patricia everything. About the hidden compartment, the journal, the researchers, the modified piano, about her grandmother's secret life work. Patricia listened without interrupting, her expression growing more amazed with each revelation. When Maya finished, Patricia was quiet for a long moment. "Your grandmother was remarkable," she finally said. "But you know what? So are you. Not because you can play now, but because you're handling all of this with wisdom and care. A lot of people would have rushed to cash in on something like this, but you're protecting it, honoring your grandmother's choices." Maya felt tears prick her eyes. She hadn't realized how much she needed to hear that. Patricia stood up to leave, then paused at the door. "Whatever you decide to do with this knowledge, I hope you'll let me be part of it somehow. I'd be honored to help, even in a small way." After she left, Maya sat at the piano again. It had become her thinking spot, the place where everything made sense. She played softly, letting her fingers wander across the keys without any particular song in mind. The researchers wanted answers. The internet wanted content. Everyone wanted something from her. But Maya realized that what she wanted was simple. She wanted to understand her grandmother's purpose. She wanted to know what Rose had intended this music to do, and she wanted to make the right choice about what happened next. The music held secrets, but some secrets, she was learning, were meant to be kept, at least until the right time came to share them. The phone calls started coming in around noon. First, it was a producer from a major streaming platform, offering a substantial amount of money for exclusive rights to make a documentary about Maya's story. Then a literary agent called saying she could get Maya a book deal worth 6 figures. Then another call from a talent manager who wanted to represent her for concert performances. Maya let them all go to voicemail. She sat in her grandmother's garden, trying to find some peace among the roses and lavender. But her phone kept buzzing in her pocket. Message after message, offer after offer. Lily showed up unannounced that afternoon, looking guilty. "I'm so sorry," she said immediately. "I didn't think the video would blow up like this." "Are you okay?" "I don't know," Maya admitted honestly. "Everyone wants something, and I don't know what to give them." "You don't have to give them anything," Lily said firmly. "This is your story, your grandmother's music. You get to decide what happens with it." But that was the problem. Maya didn't know what to decide. That evening, Dr. Patterson came by alone. He looked tired. and his usual enthusiasm seemed dimmed somehow. "I've been thinking about what Thomas said," he began without preamble, "about why your grandmother kept this secret, and I think I might have found something." He pulled out a folder of papers, old letters yellowed with age. These were tucked into the back of one of the composition books. "I should have given them to you right away, but I wanted to authenticate them first. They're letters between your grandmother and other people, musicians, scientists, mathematicians." Maya took the folder with trembling hands. The letters were dated from the 1960s through the 1980s. She recognized her grandmother's handwriting immediately. The first letter was to someone named Dr. Friedrich Müller, a physicist at a university in Germany. Her grandmother was asking questions about sound waves and resonant frequencies. His response was enthusiastic, sharing his own research and asking more questions. Another letter was to a composer in Japan, discussing musical theory and the mathematical relationships between notes. There was a series of letters with a neuroscientist in Brazil, exploring how music affected brain development. She was collaborating with people all over the world, Maya said in wonder. "Not just collaborating," Dr. Patterson said. "Look at the later letters." The tone changed in the letters from the late 1970s. Her grandmother's colleagues were expressing concern. Some of them were excited about the possibilities, but others were frightened. One letter from Dr. Muller was particularly striking. "Rose, what you're suggesting is extraordinary, but we must consider the ethical implications. If music can truly accelerate learning and reshape cognitive function, who controls that power? What if it falls into the wrong hands? I urge you to consider the consequences before publishing your findings." Maya felt a chill. She kept reading. There was a letter from the Japanese composer, even more urgent. "Rose, I must insist you destroy this research. The government has been asking questions about my work with sound frequencies. They want to weaponize it. I've told them nothing. But if they discover what we've been working on, they will come for you too. Please burn everything, for your safety and mine." The last letter in the collection was from Rose herself, apparently never sent. It was addressed to someone named Michael, who Maya guessed might have been her grandfather. He had died before Maya was born. "Michael, my love," the letter read, "I've made my decision. The work we've done together is too dangerous to release to the world. Not yet, maybe not in my lifetime. I see now how it could be misused. Music that can change minds, that can teach skills instantly, that can rewire human consciousness. In the wrong hands, this could be used to control people, to manipulate them. I can't let that happen. I'm hiding everything. I'm building a special compartment in the piano, one that can only be opened by someone who truly wants to learn. If our daughter or granddaughter finds it someday when the world is ready, then maybe it can be shared. But not now. Not yet." Maya's hands were shaking when she finished reading. She looked up at Dr. Patterson with tears in her eyes. "She was protecting people," Maya whispered. "She was protecting us." Dr. Patterson nodded slowly. "Your grandmother discovered something powerful. Maybe too powerful. And she made the choice to keep it hidden rather than risk it being misused." They sat in silence for a while. Maya thought about all the offers she had received, all the people who wanted access to this music. And now she understood why her grandmother had been so secretive. This wasn't just about learning to play piano faster. This was about the ability to influence how human brains worked. "What do you think I should do?" Maya asked. "I think," Dr. Patterson said carefully, "that decision has to be yours. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to recommend to my colleagues that we stop our research. We'll document what we've found, but we'll keep it private. We won't publish. We won't present at conferences. We'll respect your grandmother's wishes." "Even though it could make you famous?" Maya asked. "This kind of discovery could define your career." He smiled sadly. "Some things are more important than fame. Your grandmother knew that, and I think you know it too." After Dr. Patterson left, Maya called a meeting with all the researchers. She showed them the letters and explained what she had learned. To her relief, they all agreed with Dr. Patterson. Thomas Wright actually looked relieved, like a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. "I'll be honest," he said. "I was afraid of what could happen if this got out. But I didn't know how to say it without sounding like I was holding back science." "Science without ethics is dangerous," Dr. Kim said. "Your grandmother understood that. We should too." They packed up their equipment that week. Before they left, Dr. Singh took Maya aside. "I want you to know something," she said. The changes in your brain, they're permanent. You'll always have this ability now. And if you continue to play, especially this music, you'll keep developing. Your musical understanding will grow beyond what most people ever achieve. Is that safe? Maya asked, worried. I think so, Dr. Singh said. The changes seem beneficial. Enhanced learning, better pattern recognition, improved emotional processing. Your grandmother designed this carefully. She wasn't trying to harm anyone. She was trying to help people reach their potential. But she also knew that kind of power had to be protected. After everyone had gone, Maya's house felt empty and quiet. She sat at the piano and thought about everything she had learned. Her grandmother hadn't been just a pianist or even just a researcher. She had been a guardian, someone who had discovered something precious and dangerous, and had chosen to protect it rather than profit from it. Now that responsibility had passed to Maya. She thought about the viral video, about all the people who had heard her playing and been moved by it. She thought about Patricia Walsh, who had dedicated her life to teaching music the traditional way. She thought about Mr. Chen, who had kept her grandmother's secret for so many years without ever fully knowing what it was. And she thought about her grandmother, making the hard choice to hide her life's work, trusting that someday the right person would find it and know what to do. Maya pulled out her phone and started declining offers. No documentary, no book deal, no concerts. She wrote the same message to everyone. Thank you for your interest, but this is a private family matter. The music will remain private. Some people understood. Others were angry, accusing her of being selfish, of denying the world something beautiful. But Maya knew she was making the right choice. Not forever, maybe. But for now, she would keep playing. She would keep learning. She would protect her grandmother's legacy the way Rose had intended. And maybe someday when the world was different, when people understood the responsibility that came with this knowledge, then maybe she could share it. But that day wasn't today. Maya placed her hands on the piano keys and began to play. Not for an audience, not for fame, just for herself, and for the grandmother who had loved her enough to trust her with this gift. 3 months passed quietly. The internet eventually forgot about Maya and her mysterious piano playing. New viral videos replaced hers. Life returned to something close to normal, except nothing was really normal anymore. Maya spent her days working from home as a graphic designer and her evenings at the piano. She had gone through all of her grandmother's compositions now, mastering each one, but she kept them private, playing only for herself in the quiet of her own home. Sometimes Patricia Walsh came by for tea and conversation. They had moved beyond teacher and student. Now they were simply two people who loved music, sharing their passion. Patricia never asked to hear the secret compositions, and Maya appreciated that respect. One Tuesday afternoon, Maya was working on a design project when her doorbell rang. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, she found a teenage girl standing there, maybe 16 or 17 years old, looking nervous and hopeful. "Are you Maya?" the girl asked. "Yes, can I help you?" "My name is Zara. I saw your video. The one from months ago. I've watched it probably 100 times." She spoke quickly, like she was afraid Maya might close the door. "I know you've been turning everyone away, and I respect that. But I had to try. I had to ask." "Ask what?" Maya said gently. Zara's eyes filled with tears. "I want to learn to play piano more than anything in the world. But my family can't afford lessons. We can barely afford rent. I've been teaching myself from YouTube videos, but it's so slow and frustrating. When I saw what you could do, how fast you learned, I thought maybe you could help me." Maya felt her heart twist. This wasn't some producer looking for content or a journalist hunting a story. This was just a kid who wanted to learn music. "Come in," Maya said, stepping aside. Zara followed her into the house, her eyes going wide when she saw the piano. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "Do you want to play something for me?" Maya asked. Zara nodded eagerly and sat at the bench. She played a simple melody, something that sounded like it might have come from a beginner's tutorial. Her technique was rough, her timing imperfect, but there was something genuine in the way she played. You could feel how much she cared. When she finished, she looked at Maya hopefully. "I know I'm not very good yet, but I'm trying really hard." Maya made a decision in that moment. Maybe not the safest decision. Maybe not what her grandmother would have wanted, but it felt right. "What if I told you I could help you learn faster?" Maya said. "Not magic, not overnight, but faster than normal. Would you be interested? Zara's face lit up.
Yes, absolutely yes.
But there are conditions, Maya said seriously. First, you can't tell anyone how you're learning. Not your friends, not social media, no one. Second, you have to commit to practicing every single day. And third, if I think this is harming you in any way, we stop immediately. Deal? Deal, Zara said without hesitation. That's how it started. Maya began teaching Zara twice a week. She didn't use her grandmother's special compositions at first. She started with regular music, traditional teaching methods, but she let Zara play on the special piano, letting those hidden frequencies do their work slowly, naturally. The transformation was gradual, but undeniable. Within a month, Zara was playing pieces that should have taken 6 months to learn. Within 2 months, she was performing at an intermediate level. She never questioned why she was improving so fast. She just practiced with joy and dedication, grateful for the opportunity. One evening, after a particularly good lesson, Zara said, "You know what's strange? Playing piano used to feel like work, like I was forcing my brain to do something it didn't want to do, but now it feels natural, like my hands know where to go before I even think about it." Maya smiled. That's exactly how it felt. That's exactly what the music did. Word of mouth is a powerful thing. Maya should have expected it. Even though Zara kept her promise not to post on social media or brag to friends, her music teacher at school noticed her dramatic improvement. And that teacher mentioned it to another teacher, who mentioned it to a parent, who had a son who desperately wanted to learn music but struggled with traditional methods. Within 6 months, Maya had 5 students. All of them young people from families who couldn't afford expensive music programs. All of them bound by the same rules. Practice daily, tell no one about the method, and stop if anything felt wrong. She taught them in small groups, letting them play together sometimes. The piano's modified frequencies seemed to work even better when multiple people were learning at the same time. The students improved rapidly, not just in technical skill but in their understanding of music itself. They began to hear things differently, to feel the mathematical patterns underlying the melodies. Maya started keeping notes, documenting their progress the way her grandmother had documented her research. She wanted to understand exactly what was happening, what the limits were if there were any risks. So far, everything seemed positive. The students were happier, more confident. Music was becoming a source of joy in their lives, not frustration. But she also saw why her grandmother had been cautious. The power to accelerate learning was significant. If this method was scaled up, used in schools or music programs, it could change everything. And change wasn't always good. There would be pushback from traditional teachers, questions about fairness, concerns about long-term effects. One of her students, a quiet boy named David, who was about 15, approached her after a lesson one day. "Can I ask you something?" he said nervously. "Of course. This piano is special, isn't it? It's not just that you're a good teacher. There's something about the instrument itself." Maya's heart skipped. None of the students had explicitly asked about this before. "What makes you think that?" "I tried practicing on my keyboard at home," David said. "It doesn't feel the same. I improve faster when I'm here. And sometimes when I'm playing here, I hear things, extra notes that I'm not playing. Like the piano is teaching me." Maya took a deep breath. She had known this conversation would come eventually. "You're right. This piano is special. My grandmother modified it. But David, you have to keep that to yourself. Can you do that?" "Why?" he asked. Not challenging her, just curious. Because if people knew about it, they would want to study it, copy it, maybe use it in ways that could hurt people instead of help them. My grandmother kept it secret for good reasons. David thought about this for a moment, then nodded. "Okay, I understand. It's like having superpowers, right? You have to be responsible with them." "Exactly like that," Maya said, relieved. As her small group of students grew in skill, Maya found herself feeling something she hadn't expected. Fulfillment. She had spent years working as a graphic designer, and while she was good at it, it had never felt important. But this felt important. She was giving these kids something they couldn't get anywhere else. Not just musical ability, but confidence, a sense of possibility. Patricia Walsh found out about the students by accident. She stopped by one evening unannounced and arrived during a group lesson. Maya's heart sank when she opened the door and saw Patricia standing there, hearing the sound of multiple pianists inside. "Can I come in?" Patricia asked. Maya couldn't say no. Patricia sat quietly in the corner watching the students play, watching how they helped each other, how they moved with confidence, how they understood the music at a level that seemed impossible for their experience level. When the lesson ended and the students had left, Patricia looked at Maya seriously. "You're doing what your grandmother did," she said. "You're sharing the gift." "I know I should have asked you first," Maya started, but Patricia held up her hand. "I'm not upset. I'm impressed, and I want to help." Patricia's eyes were bright with emotion. "I've been teaching piano for 35 years, and I've seen so many talented kids give up because they couldn't afford proper lessons or instruments. What you're doing here, giving these kids a chance to learn, it's beautiful. Let me help you." Maya felt tears well up. "Really? Really? I may not understand the science behind that piano, but I understand the mission. Every kid deserves access to music. If you found a way to make that happen, I want to be part of it." That night after Patricia left, Maya sat at the piano and thought about the path she was on. She had started by trying to protect her grandmother's secret, but now she was actively using it, sharing it with students, bringing in another teacher to help. Was this what her grandmother would have wanted? Or was Maya breaking the trust that Rose had placed in her? She pulled out the journal and read that first entry again. "Play what your heart knows, not what your hands remember." Her heart knew this was right. These students needed help. They deserved a chance, and she had the power to give it to them. Maybe the secret wasn't meant to be hidden forever. Maybe it was meant to be shared carefully, thoughtfully, with the right people at the right time, not broadcast to the world but passed on person by person like a precious gift. Maya placed her fingers on the keys and played. In the music, she found her answer. She would continue teaching. She would continue sharing, but always carefully, always with wisdom, always with respect for the power she had been given. Her grandmother had been a guardian of this knowledge. Now Maya was a guardian too, but she was also a teacher. And maybe, just maybe, that was exactly what Rose had hoped for. The call came on a Thursday morning. Maya was having coffee in the kitchen when her phone rang with an unknown number. She normally didn't answer those, but something made her pick up. "Is this Maya Rodriguez?" a woman's voice asked. Professional, but with an edge of urgency. "Yes, who's calling?" "My name is Catherine Brooks. I'm a journalist with the National Arts Review. I've been investigating your grandmother's work." Maya felt her stomach drop. "I'm not interested in interviews. I've said that repeatedly." "Please, just hear me out," Catherine said quickly. "I'm not calling to write an expose. I'm calling to warn you. There are other people asking questions about your grandmother's research. People you need to be aware of." Something in her tone made Maya listen. "What people? Can we meet in person? What I need to tell you isn't safe to discuss over the phone." They met at a coffee shop downtown. Catherine was in her 40s with sharp eyes and a serious demeanor. She carried a folder that she placed on the table between them. "Your grandmother was part of something bigger than you realize," Catherine began. "In the 1960s and 70s, there was an informal network of musicians and scientists around the world studying the neurological effects of music. They called themselves the Resonance Collective." Maya's breath caught. She remembered the letters mentioning something similar. "Go on." Most of them were academics pursuing pure research. But some of their findings attracted attention from other groups. Government agencies, private companies, people who saw military and commercial applications. Catherine opened the folder, showing Maya documents and old photographs. 3 members of the collective disappeared in the 1980s. 2 more destroyed all their research and went silent. Your grandmother was one of the few who managed to continue her work while staying off the radar. How do you know all this? I've been researching it for 5 years. I was writing a book about the collective when I came across references to your grandmother. Then your video went viral, and suddenly other people started asking questions too. Catherine pulled out more papers. 2 weeks ago, a private research firm contacted several people who knew your grandmother. They're offering money for information about her work. They want access to her compositions and her modified piano. Maya felt cold. Who are they? They call themselves Neurosound Technologies. On paper, they're a legitimate company developing therapeutic music applications. But I've done some digging. They have contracts with both pharmaceutical companies and defense contractors. Whatever they're working on, it's not just about helping people. What should I do? Catherine looked at her seriously. Be careful. Don't talk to anyone about the technical details of your grandmother's work. Don't let anyone examine the piano without your explicit permission. And most importantly, don't trust anyone who comes to you with too perfect opportunities or asks too many specific questions. After Catherine left, Maya sat in her car for a long time, trying to process everything. Her grandmother had been right to be cautious. The danger was real. And now Maya had students to protect, not just herself. She called an emergency meeting with Patricia Walsh and her sister Lily. She told them everything Catherine had revealed. They sat in Maya's living room, the piano silent in the corner, while they discussed what to do. "We need to protect the students," Patricia said immediately. "If this company finds out about them, they might try to study them, use them as test subjects. Should we stop the lessons?" Lily asked. Maya shook her head. "These kids need this. For some of them, music is the best thing in their lives right now. I can't take that away because of what might happen." "Then we need to be smarter about it," Patricia said. "No more group lessons. Individual sessions only at different times, and we rotate locations. Some lessons here, some at my studio, some at the students' homes if possible." They spent the next few hours creating a plan. New rules for the students about privacy and security, a system for vetting anyone new who wanted lessons, and most importantly, Maya decided to start documenting everything properly, not just the students' progress, but the ethical framework guiding their work. If something ever did happen, if someone tried to misuse this knowledge, she wanted a clear record of the right way to do it. 2 weeks later, Maya got an email from someone claiming to be a talent scout for a prestigious music school. They had heard about her students' remarkable progress and wanted to offer full scholarships. It sounded perfect. Too perfect, Maya called Catherine Brooks. "Can you check something for me?" Catherine called back within an hour. The email address traces back to a dummy corporation owned by Neurosound. "It's a trap. They want access to your students." Maya deleted the email and warned all her students and their families. They needed to be on guard against any offers that seemed too good to be true, but the pressure kept building. A parent of one of her students was approached by someone claiming to be a music researcher, offering payment to let them study the child's learning process. Thankfully, the parent refused and reported it to Maya. Then Mr. Chen called, worried. "Someone came to my shop today. They were asking about the modifications to your grandmother's piano, offering a lot of money for details. I told them nothing, but Maya, I'm frightened. These people are serious." Maya realized they needed help. Real help. She called Dr. Patterson and explained the situation. "I was afraid of something like this," he admitted. "Neurosound approached me 2 months ago. I turned them down. But you're right, they're not going to give up. What can we do? We document everything properly. We establish legal protections for your grandmother's intellectual property, and we build a network of people we trust who can help protect this knowledge if something happens to you," Dr. Patterson connected Maya with a lawyer who specialized in intellectual property and ethics in research. Together, they created a framework. All of Rose's original compositions and research notes were scanned and stored securely in multiple locations. Maya signed papers establishing a trust that would control access to the materials. A small board of trustees was appointed, people who understood both the value and the danger of the work. Dr. Patterson, Patricia Walsh, Mr. Chen, and Catherine Brooks. "If anything happens to me," Maya told them, "you'll know what to do. You'll protect it the right way." The students continued to thrive. David, the quiet boy who had first asked about the piano being special, was now playing at an advanced level. Zara had started composing her own music, showing a creativity that went beyond just technical skill. The other students were growing too, not just as musicians, but as people. They were more confident, more focused, happier. Maya started writing down her philosophy for teaching with this method. The principles that should guide anyone who might use it in the future. First, never force anyone to participate. The choice must always be theirs. Second, always prioritize the student's well-being over their musical progress. If they show any signs of distress or negative effects, stop immediately. Third, teach responsibility along with skill. The students needed to understand they were receiving something special, and with that came an obligation to use it wisely. Fourth, keep it small and personal. This method worked best in intimate settings with careful attention to each individual. It should never be industrialized or commercialized. Fifth, protect the secret, not out of greed but out of wisdom. The world wasn't ready for this knowledge to be widespread. One evening, after all her students had gone home, Maya sat at the piano and played one of her grandmother's most complex compositions. As she played, she thought about the journey she had been on. From discovering the hidden compartment to teaching students to protecting them from those who would misuse what they were learning. Her grandmother had lived with this burden alone for decades. Now Maya understood the weight of it, the constant awareness that what you knew could help people or harm them, depending on who controlled it. The responsibility of being a gatekeeper to powerful knowledge. But she also understood something her grandmother might not have fully realized. You didn't have to bear that burden alone. By building a community of trustees, by teaching responsible students, by creating ethical frameworks, Maya was ensuring that the knowledge would survive and be protected even if something happened to her. She played the final notes of the composition, letting them ring out in the quiet house. Outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. It was beautiful. And in this moment, despite all the challenges and dangers, Maya felt at peace. She was doing the right thing. She was honoring her grandmother's legacy, while also adapting it for a new generation. She was being both a guardian and a teacher, both protecting and sharing, both cautious and generous. And somehow she knew that Rose would be proud of her. 1 year after finding the hidden compartment, Maya stood in her grandmother's house looking at the calendar. It would have been Rose's 95th birthday today. The house was quiet, but it would be filled with people soon. She had made a decision, one that had taken months to reach, one that she had discussed with her board of trustees, one that felt both terrifying and exactly right. She was going to share her grandmother's music. Not with the world, not with cameras or record labels or streaming platforms, but with 7 very specific people who needed it. The doorbell rang. The first guest had arrived. Patricia Walsh came in carrying a covered dish. Behind her was Mr. Chen, moving slowly but with a gentle smile. Then Dr. Patterson arrived, followed by the students, Zara, David, and 3 others who had been learning for the past several months. "Thank you all for coming," Maya said. "I know I was mysterious about why I wanted you here today." They gathered in the living room, sitting on chairs and the couch, all facing the piano. Maya stood beside it, feeling nervous but determined. "Today would have been my grandmother's birthday," she began. "For the past year, I've been trying to understand what she wanted, why she hid her life's work, why she left it for me to find, and I think I finally understand." She looked at each person in the room. She didn't want this knowledge to disappear, but she also didn't want it to be exploited. So she created a test. She hid it in a way that only someone who truly cared would find it, someone who would take the time to learn, to understand, to respect what it meant. Maya sat at the piano. "I've been teaching some of you using this method, but I've never played my grandmother's complete works for anyone. Not all of them together. I've kept the most powerful compositions private because I was afraid. Afraid of what they might do. Afraid of making the wrong choice." She took a deep breath. "But I realized something. My grandmother didn't create this music to keep it locked away forever. She created it to help people, to unlock something inside them, to give them access to abilities they didn't know they had. And by keeping it completely hidden, I'm not honoring her work. I'm just being afraid." Patricia was wiping her eyes. Mr. Chen nodded slowly, understanding. "So today I'm going to play everything, all of her major compositions in the order she wrote them. It will take about 6 hours. Some of you might experience changes. You might suddenly understand music in new ways. You might find abilities awakening, and that's okay. That's what this music is meant to do." She paused, looking at her students. "But I need you all to promise me something. Whatever you experience today, whatever gifts you receive, you'll use them wisely. You'll respect the power of what you've been given. You'll protect others who might discover this knowledge. Can you promise me that?" Everyone in the room nodded or spoke their agreement. Maya placed her hands on the keys and began to play. She started with the earliest compositions, the simpler ones she had first learned. Even these pieces had that special quality, those hidden frequencies woven into the melodies. She could feel them working on everyone in the room, gently opening neural pathways, creating new connections. Then she moved to the intermediate works, more complex harmonies, deeper mathematical structures. Zara's eyes went wide as something clicked in her understanding. David leaned forward, completely absorbed. After 2 hours, Maya took a break. Everyone was quiet, processing what they were experiencing. Patricia stood and walked to the piano, her hands trembling. "May I?" she asked. Maya stood up and gestured to the bench. Patricia sat down and began to play. It was a simple melody at first, but then it evolved into something more, something original. Patricia was composing in real time, creating music she had never been able to create before. Tears streamed down her face as she played. When she finished, she looked at Maya with wonder. "I've been teaching piano for 35 years. I never thought I could compose. I didn't think I had it in me." "You always had it in you," Maya said gently. "The music just helped you find it." They continued through the afternoon. Maya played the advanced compositions, the ones that used techniques that shouldn't have existed when her grandmother wrote them. The room filled with sound that seemed to resonate not just in their ears but in their bones, in their minds, in some deep part of their consciousness. Mr. Chen, who had been silent all day, suddenly stood up. "I need to play," he said. "I've been tuning pianos for 50 years, but I've never actually learned to play one." It seemed too late. But now, he sat at the piano after Maya finished another piece. His old hands found the keys naturally, moving with a grace that shouldn't have been possible for someone who had never played before. He played a simple folk song from his childhood, one he must have heard his mother sing decades ago. It was beautiful and pure and filled with emotion. When he finished, he was crying. "My mother would have loved to hear me play that," he whispered. The sun began to set outside. Maya played the final compositions, the most powerful ones. These pieces were different from the others. They didn't just teach musical ability. They opened something deeper, a sense of connection, of understanding, of possibility. As the last notes faded away, the room was completely silent. No one moved. No one spoke. They were all feeling it. The change, the transformation. Finally, Zara broke the silence. "I understand now," she said quietly. "It's not just about music, is it? The music is a tool. What it really unlocks is potential. The belief that we can learn anything, become anything, if we approach it with the right combination of dedication and guidance." "Yes," Maya said. "Exactly that." Dr. Patterson, who had been taking notes throughout the performance, set down his pen. "Your grandmother discovered something profound, not just a method for teaching music, but a principle about human learning and development, and she embedded it in art, so it could be passed on through beauty rather than sterile academic study." As darkness fell outside, the group talked. They shared what they had experienced, what they now understood, what they felt called to do with these new abilities. Some wanted to teach others, some wanted to create, some wanted to simply carry this gift quietly, using it to enhance their own lives. Maya listened to all of them, feeling grateful and proud. This was what her grandmother had wanted. Not fame or recognition or profit, just this. A small group of people, carefully chosen, receiving a gift and understanding the responsibility that came with it. Before everyone left, Maya made copies of some of the simpler compositions. Not the most powerful ones, but enough to share. "If you teach others," she told them, "do it the way I taught you, carefully, thoughtfully, one person at a time. Never for money, never for fame. Always for the right reasons," they all promised. After everyone had gone, Maya stood alone in the house. She walked through the rooms, touching her grandmother's things. The books, the paintings, the furniture that held decades of memories. She ended up back at the piano. She sat down and played one more time, just for herself, just for Rose, a simple melody, one she had composed herself in the past year. It was her way of saying thank you. Thank you for the gift. Thank you for the trust. Thank you for showing her that some secrets are worth keeping, and some are worth sharing, and wisdom is knowing the difference. Outside, stars were beginning to appear in the darkening sky. The house was warm and peaceful. The piano's notes hung in the air like a blessing. Maya thought about the future, about the students who would learn from her students, about the music that would spread quietly through the world, person by person, heart by heart, not through viral videos or commercial success, but through genuine connection and careful teaching. Her grandmother had planted a seed. Maya had nurtured it, and now it was growing into something beautiful, something that would continue long after Maya herself was gone. She closed the piano lid gently and turned off the lights. As she climbed the stairs to bed, she felt her grandmother's presence around her. Not haunting, just present, proud, peaceful. The piano would be waiting tomorrow. The students would return. The music would continue. And somewhere in the frequencies and harmonies and hidden patterns of sound, her grandmother's legacy lived on. Maya smiled in the darkness. She had found her purpose, not through some grand plan or ambitious goal, but through a single note pressed on a dusty piano, through curiosity and courage, through honoring the past while building the future. The gift her grandmother had given her wasn't just the ability to play piano. It was something far more valuable, the understanding that true power lies not in what you keep for yourself, but in what you share with wisdom. That knowledge without responsibility is dangerous, but responsibility without action is meaningless. She had walked the line between those two truths, just as her grandmother had done before her. And now, lying in bed in the house filled with memories and music, Maya understood that this was only the beginning. There would be more students, more challenges, more people trying to exploit what they didn't understand. But there would also be more moments of beauty, more lives transformed, more music filling the world in quiet, powerful ways. The piano had unlocked a symphony, not just in sound but in life itself, a symphony of human potential, of connection, of the incredible things that happen when we trust each other enough to share our deepest gifts.